Hello. So, welcome to Crips Against Cuts remote protest. This is a protest that has been put together through the Crips Against Cuts network. Crips Against Cuts are a distributed collective of disabled people around the country. There are local groups, and then this has been put together by the remote group. So, in particular, by Crips and disabled folks who haven't been able to get to those physical protests, or people who find it hard to physically move around, to give us a space for making our mark and saying our piece opposing the cuts that are being proposed. What else did I want to say quickly? Yes, so we have speeches and we have online actions that are happening today. In the description of this video that you're watching, there is a guide to all of the actions that we're going to be taking, which you're welcome to use, and we'll be referencing that throughout the event. We're going to be, I'll run through the schedule first. So we're going to be kicking off with an initial speech from Crips Against Cuts Remotes, which is going to be read out by Charlie, another member of Crips Against Cuts. And then we are going to have our first speakers. Our first speaker is going to be Reay, who is going to be speaking about the realities of work, benefits, and unjust systems. And then we are going to be hearing from a member known only as Fingers to us, who is another Crips Against Cuts member, who is going to be doing a speech about the fault in the data as part of the Green Paper. And then we're going to be taking part in our first mass online action together, which is going to be a mass emailing campaign that we participate in. We're going to be creating online protest signs as if we were having real life protest signs. And we will be using those in mass emails to Liz Kendall, to the Department of Work and Pensions, and also to, in particular, 5 MPs whose majority in the last election is less than the current number of people claiming PIP in their area. So these are potentially MPs who have the most vested interest in listening to the needs of disabled people. Following that, we're going to have 2 more speakers. We're going to be hearing from Burgess, who is the campaigns and outreach lead at the Greater Manchester Coalition of Disabled People, who's going to be speaking about the importance of a broad movement where we are collaborating together. And then we are going to be hearing from Yen and Megan, who are part of Sisters of Freeda, who are going to be speaking about the hidden dangers of cutting PIP, as PIP is a very valuable lifeline for people in abusive situations. Then we're going to have our second mass online action, which is going to be making some art together. So we are going to be engaging in something that we've collectively called Show Benefits Cut the Boot. This is an action inspired by the Millions Missing campaign, which is a campaign led by people with ME and chronic fatigue syndrome, where we will be taking photographs of shoes, wheelchairs, and walking aids and creating a massive photo montage of those of us who aren't able to physically be on the streets right now, but to make our presence felt there. And then we're going to be closing out with another 2 speakers. We're going to be hearing from Rachel Charlton-Dailey, who is going to be speaking about insidious media narratives. And then finally, Caroline Richardson, who's a member of the Spartacus Network, who is going to be talking about the policy roadmap and moments of resistance along the way as these proposed cuts get closer and closer to becoming legislation. And then our final mass online action together is going to be a virtual march, where we are going to be doing comment swamping and reviews in prominent public places online. So we're going to be taking our protest signs and comments to some of the most watched YouTube videos that have been watched in the UK today. And we're going to be leaving Google reviews in prominent places that are visited throughout the UK. That's the outline of the day. In between that, are going to be interspersed kind of various art submissions and videos from members of our community, but that's kind of the core of the day. Hopefully captions are currently enabled. If not, I'm going to do some behind the scenes stuff to make sure that's working. But yes, hopefully captions will be enabled, and we will find a way to make that happen if that hasn't been happening yet. Our apologies. We are going to be posting the transcripts to every single one of our speeches in the live chat, so that you can be reading along with those, particularly if the captions aren't enabled at the moment. Okay, I'm going to pass over to Charlie, who's going to give an introductory talk.
Okay. Cool. Is this speech is going to go in the chat, isn't it? So I can go without the captions showing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this welcome speech was written by someone in the remote Crips chat. So I'm just going to read out what they said. I'm Charlie, but I didn't write this. So I'm just going to show what they said. Hi, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Before we begin with the event, we'd like to introduce us and our cause. We're Crips Against Cuts, a disabled-led grassroots group that was set up to fight against Labour and the brutal 5 billion cuts that are set to devastate our community. In recent months, the UK government has stirred up a panic about fraudulent PIP claims and spiralling costs, which is far from the truth. In fact, a 2024 DWP investigation revealed that the fraud rate for PIP sits at 0%. And while disability benefit spending is forecast to rise by 49% between now and 2029, this only represents around 4% of total public spending. Clearly, the increase in number of sick and disabled people claiming PIP and other benefits is not a result of fraud. Since 2020, we've been living through the COVID-19 pandemic, which is an ongoing mass disabling event that the government continues to brush under the carpet. And with the NHS waiting list for hospital treatment sitting at around 7.5 million in December 2024, people have been left to suffer and deteriorate for far too long. PIP is designed to help people with the additional cost of being disabled, which is estimated to be over £1,000 a month on top of the significant cost of living crisis we're all experiencing. As it stands, the maximum amount of PIP you can be awarded is just over £700 a month, meaning these costs already don't cover vital expenses. As a result, many are forced into poverty, unsustainable work, further ill health, and even death. We believe that the most vulnerable members of society should not be made to bear the brunt of this country's financial issues when UK billionaires gained an additional £182 billion last year. The King received a raise of £45 million, and MPs are expected to see an inflation busting pay increase of £2,500 in April. By imposing a small 2% wealth tax on the rich and super rich, we would raise £24 billion a year, which is far higher than the welfare cuts will save. The people of the UK voted Labour for change, yet we're being plunged into more austerity. These cruel attacks are inexcusable. Today, we're taking a stand and calling for a welfare system that listens to the people it claims to support. Over the next 3 hours, we'll be hearing from several fantastic speakers, admiring art from the community, and watching videos from people across the country who support our cause. So make sure you're sitting comfortably as we demonstrate for a fairer, more inclusive future. I'm going to introduce the next speaker if the captions are working. Have we managed to fix that?
Sorry, I'm managing to find a little workaround at the moment where the transcript is visible, but it's very small. So I'm gonna work on making that larger. And the transcript for the next speaker is with us, so we're going to be able to post that in comments.
Okay, perfect. All right then. Okay, so I'm introducing our first speaker, which is Reay, an author and journalist. Big shout out because there's a new book a couple of days ago, How to Be Disabled and Proud. So that's very exciting. Kathy's going to talk to us about the realities of work benefits and unjust systems. So I'll let her speak now.
Thank you so much, Charlie, and thank you so much for having me here today. I'm reading off my screen, so if it looks like I'm not really looking at the audience, that's why. I apologise for that. And I really hope that the subtitles are sorted soon, but I have sent the transcript of what I'm going to say. As I always do, I kind of say I'm going to talk about something, and then I veer off into something else. So this kind of veers off, but I hope that it resonates with some people. I'm really honoured to be here among fellow Crips and disabled people, if you don't like that term. I'm really grateful for the work that Crips Against Cuts and Deepak are doing. So as Charlie said, I'm a disabled writer and author, and my first book actually came out this week. If you can see it, this is my, oh no, maybe you can't see it. This is my book cover. Anyway, it's called How to Be Disabled and Proud, or at least kind of sort of okay with it. And while I'm incredibly proud of the book, it feels like a bit of a strange time for it to be coming out. It's a children's book about disability pride, which feels strangely apt and also incredibly sad at a time when our government is determined to destroy any sense of pride we feel. I was going to write this as like a formal speech, but at 4 a.m. this morning I suddenly woke up and thought differently. And I don't know if you can call what follows a poem. I never was one to listen to rules, but whatever you call it, I hope it resonates. There's a letter on the doormat, an unmistakable brown envelope. I try not to look at it. Maybe if I don't acknowledge it, it's not really there. Trying to be helpful, my daughter brings it to me, and I'm forced to face it head on. Department for Work and Pensions, the stamp screams coldly from the top left-hand corner. I open it gingerly. Maybe if my fingers are gentle, the words inside will be too. Immediately I scan the text. Renewal jumps out. Okay, could be worse. Whose turn is it this time? I look back and see my other daughter's name at the top. I sigh. Ah. My daughter that was repeatedly denied disability benefits for the first 6 years of her life. The vague reason always being she's not disabled enough. Not disabled enough? I remember asking myself in the summer of 2020, when she was 2.5 years old and still relying on me to break my back carrying her everywhere because she couldn't yet walk. Not disabled enough? I asked myself again in 2022, when at 4 years old she still couldn't get out of bed safely on her own. Not disabled enough, I asked myself for 6 years, as I watched her experience almost exactly the same barriers as her older sister had 3 years prior, and indeed as I had 30 years prior to that. I appealed the decision one of those times, explaining that dwarfism runs in the family, that both myself and her older sister have genes that have been cooked at a lower temperature too. I'm no good at general knowledge, but on achondroplasia dwarfism, I might dare to consider myself a bit of an expert. After all, it's not really rocket science. If we're both eligible, there's no way she's not disabled enough. The appeal was denied. We don't look at family circumstances, they coolly replied. I wondered what was going through the mind of the person that wrote that. Could they understand how humiliating it was to be told your child doesn't deserve the support they need? What the potential consequences were? Were they numb to it, completely divorced from emotion, just making sure they reach their target number of refusals? No, she can't get any help. She can walk. Her name is struck off the list. Nope, this person said they once managed to eat with a knife and fork. They don't need any help. Strike 2. Absolutely not. The woman has a job. There's no way she's disabled enough. Strike 3. Which strike was she? I took the case to tribunal and won, by the way. Won by a landslide. That daughter now receives more benefits than both her sister and I, the girl that wasn't disabled enough. I'm still scarred by the trauma of it, though. By the way I had to beg and talk about my kids' intimate life so excuse me. By the way I had to beg and talk about my kids' intimate life so humiliatingly. And now I need to do it all again. Please send your renewal form by XX date, otherwise your benefits will stop, the letter reads. I smiled for a moment dryly and imagined the dwarfism suddenly leaving her body the day her current benefits expire. The smile vanishes as I remember that one day it'll be them writing these applications and appeals. Them having to learn the language and the way of talking about themselves that's so completely humiliating, raw and exposed. Nobody wants to have to beg for a better life. Nobody wants to go through these grueling and degrading and unfair processes to get a bit of money, never enough money, they need. Nobody wants to put their kids through it. We just want to have things we need in order to survive and maybe even thrive if that's possible in this fucked up ableist world. I sometimes imagine what life might look like if we had everything we needed, if our world was totally accessible and easy to navigate. Well, as easy as it is for the average non-disabled person. I think I'd have a lot more energy, more money, more access to things we love and enjoy. I'd smile more. I'd worry less. I feel free in a way that disabled people have never been afforded freedom. That's all we want at the end of the day, isn't it? Freedom. And the only thing standing in the way of that is our disgusting benefit system and the callous people that govern it. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Kathy. Always so eloquent. I think I'm passing to Jai to introduce another speaker.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Our next speaker today is going to be Fingers from Crips Against Cuts, who is both a member and activist. And I've read their speech already. It's great. And it's probably best described as sort of a rallying cry. Over to you, Fingers.
Hi, Fingers, are you with us?
No. Okay. I'm Fingers. I'm what you might call a posh Crip, and I'm a policy wonk. You'll hear a great many personal stories from Crips today, like me. And the narrative before was bad enough, but the government's green paper and Reeves' frightful spring statement have only made things worse for us. But, mighty Crips, there are two bits of good news in amongst this awfulness. And the first is the law of unintended consequences. I'm pretty sure the government wasn't expecting the torrent of horrified responses from all parts of society about Reeves' proposed cuts. I'm also sure that nobody was expecting this huge response from us Crips. It's brought us together in a way that would have been impossible a month ago. We're talking to each other and we're fighting back. That means we are so much stronger than the fragrant Liz Kendall and the robotic Reeves. Good. Always keep your enemy off balance. Secondly, I've read and analysed the green paper, and it's full of holes. It's full of inaccuracies, and it fails on multiple occasions to differentiate between PIP and the work-related health benefits. PIP is not a work-related benefit, and I'm going to repeat that till I'm blue in the face. Also, in my opinion, the proposed legislation almost certainly breaks a number of laws which protect the rights of disabled people. I'm checking that out. I gather that the government has already been reported to the ECHR, and I'm reporting them currently to the Equality Assessment Unit. I've also put in 3 Freedom of Information requests, 2 to the Department of Work and Pensions, and 1 to the Department of Health and Social Care. Because the most important aspect that I don't see from the government is their evidence base. And I want to see that evidence. What hard evidence have they, for example, that the higher amount you receive for health-related benefits incentivizes people to move from universal credit to a health-related addition? We can all speculate, and believe me, there's been a lot of speculation, but I want to see the proof behind those statements. I don't think the government's got any. Also, what hard evidence does the government have that the rise in mental health conditions is not connected to the failures and massive cuts in the NHS and particularly mental health services during austerity? This paper has nothing to do with improving the rights of disabled people. It is solely about money, or cuts, as I prefer to call them. But these changes will not save money, and I can prove that. It's not pathways to work. It's pathways to the workhouse. The government should not be saying it is a moral duty to get sick people working again. What they should be saying is it is a moral duty to get sick people the health care they need. There's a direct correlation between the massive cuts to the NHS and the number of people claiming health benefits. The government denies this, even though you can actually see the evidence from space. They've cherry-picked all their evidence, and they've ignored evidence which does not suit their narrative. This is not evidence-based policy. It is policy-based evidence, and there's a big difference. So don't despair, mighty Crips. We can work together to fight this. And don't forget that this green paper is open to consultation. Fill in a response. If you need help, give me a shout via Crips Against Cuts. This proposed legislation has to get through a lot of hurdles, and we intend to put many more in its way.
Thank you so much, Fingers, for that incredible speech. So the next thing that we're going to be doing together is, excuse me. Great. So the next thing that we're going to be doing together is our first online action together. So this is going to be where we are creating our online protest signs and where we begin taking them out into the world. So I'm going to share my screen so that we can follow along. And if you're watching on YouTube and you're in the description and you're following along in the guide, this is where we're going to be doing online action 1. So in there should be a link to this lovely page, which is an ASCII text art generator. And I believe somebody's going to paste the link into the live chat as well, if you're having trouble finding it. So we're going to go 90s style. So the ASCII art is essentially art that you can make with your keyboard, which allows us to have kind of images in places that normally only allow text to be submitted. And this is going to allow us to create the effect of having real life protest signs. So what I want us to do initially is just create our own signs and just be sharing them in the YouTube live chat with each other. So on the site, if you scroll a little bit down, right here for the big text. Just been told the screen share isn't working terribly well, so I'm going to try a different way of getting that to you. Okay. I'm aware this probably means that we've lost the transcript initially, but this is just for showing how we're doing it. So we're going on to the ASCII text art generator. And then down here, there's a place for us to type whatever we want our online protest signs to look like. So we can write Crips Against Cuts, for example. And now we have this range of designs that can be copied and pasted into emails, into comment sections, and we'll be using these kind of throughout today's actions. You can choose whatever you want to write. You can have No Austerity 2.0, and just choose a design that you like. Choose a design that speaks to you, and share that in the YouTube comments so everybody can see what we're doing as well, and hopefully we can be inspired by some of what we've got going on there. We can have welfare, not warfare. We can think about what works well for us. There's a whole range to be choosing from. There's loads that we can be doing. So yeah, so I'm just going to wait a little while for people to create versions of that they like. And then we're going to begin a mass email campaign sharing this and other things. We're going to begin by mass filling in and contacting the DWP's ministerial correspondence team. And we are going to be essentially just trying to overload their contact system. And then we're going to be engaging in sharing some, including these in some emails. And we have an email template that we're able to suggest that people use, or we're also going to suggest that people write their own as well. But yeah, I'm just going to give people kind of a few minutes to be creating their own ASCII art and posting that in YouTube. And we're going to be in YouTube having a look, relishing in the creativity of all of you guys. And then in a few minutes, when it feels like everybody kind of understands what we're doing and has been able to create their template, we're going to engage in that kind of mass commenting and mass email thing. Okay. So I'm going to go on mute for a couple of minutes, and I'm just going to focus on what's happening on YouTube. So yeah, I'll be back talking to you in a couple of minutes. Yeah. Hello again. So that looks like it's gone well. People have got incredible examples of things that have been shared from the ASCII art. So thank you all for sharing that. So the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting those onto the DWP ministerial contact form, but we're going to try and do it at the exact same second. So right now, people should be sharing the link to that form in the chat. And I'm going to share my screen now as well so that you can see along the things that we need to be doing to get that shared. Again, the transcript is going to go away. I'm very sorry. After this set of actions, we're going to take a 5-10 minute break and we're going to see what we can do to solve the captions problem. Okay. So on the Contact the DWP Ministerial Correspondence Team form, there is a section for your full name, your email address, and if your question is about, Sorry, something has gone wrong with how I've shared that. So I'm going to try again. That's working. That's not working. That one isn't. Apologies, everyone. Give me just a moment and I'll try and get it so that screen is sharing normally again. Lovely. That's working. Okay, so there is a section for saying your full name. This does not have to be real, I don't believe. So you can choose whatever name feels right to you. So I am going to go with irritated Crip. And I'm going to say yes. Irritated Crip is my full first name. I've got so many email addresses. I'm just going to do one from my childhood. I'm going to say that this is relating to Crip and benefit cuts. And then here in your question is where we are going to be copy and pasting our ASCII art that we just created together. So I'm going to quickly grab mine, and I'm going to try that in. Oh gosh, there's so many options, aren't there? Not that one, not that one, not that one. I feel like the ones I'm choosing are getting less and less legible. That'll do, yeah. Oh, money. And we're just going to post this in here. That one is too large. Okay, so try and find an ASCII art that works for you that does fit the right size of that. So that's something to bear in mind, is that not all of them are going to. That one. Lovely. Okay, so I found one that should fit. There you go, Crips against cuts. And then when everybody's ready, we're going to just click send your inquiry, ideally at the exact same second. And what we're hoping that this is going to do is that this is going to cause a little glitch in their internal server. And this is kind of what we're all about with the protest. So like with in-person protests, our goals are visibility and disruption, civil disruption. So this is just going to be part of that. So I'm going to talk for a few more seconds just to make sure that people have got a version of their ASCII art that fits in there. You don't have to do the ASCII art. It's more important that everybody does this at the same time. So feel free to just type your own Crips against cuts or whatever you choose. And then I'm going to start a countdown from 10, after which we're all going to click on send your inquiry together. So I'm going to start that countdown now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Send your inquiry. It's done! Someone's going to respond to the policy question within 4 weeks. Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to briefly come back to sharing my Zoom view. Amazing. Thank you all for taking part in that action. Hopefully that has worked and we have disrupted that. At the very least, they have several hundred angry Crip emails that they're going to have to deal with and delete and find the genuine inquiries within. The next action we're going to be engaging with in this little section is hopefully going to be more constructive. So we're going to be sending emails to Liz Kendall, and we're going to be sending emails to people whose PIP caseload in their local constituencies outweighs their majority. So these are potentially Labour MPs who have more of a vested interest in listening to us. It broke. I'm hearing it broke. I'm hearing we broke it. That is very exciting. Yay! Composure. No need for composure. Very well done, everybody. We just broke a government server. Oh, that makes me feel very happy. We can do that again later if we want. We can just trash it all afternoon. That'll be wonderful. Okay, so yes, so our next action together is going to be mass emails. I believe we're actually going to start with emails to the MPs who have vulnerabilities in terms of their PIP caseload in their local constituencies are lower than their electoral majorities were. There are, I think, close to 100 MPs in this position, but we've selected 5 that we're going to be emailing as part of this. I believe their email addresses are in the Easy Read guide that we've been using, and that's what we're going to suggest that we go through and that we use those. And the other thing is that there is an email template that I believe is being shared in the live chat right now. Again, as a Google Drive link that you can add the name of the MP, and you can add your own name to kind of say who you are and why you're contacting them. So I think that's the action that we're going to begin with. And again, I'm going to disappear for a couple seconds just to get my email ready and set up. And then we can all try and send that at the same second as well. So I'm going to briefly disappear, and then the next thing you should see and hear should be me talking you through the emails that we're sending and the order in which we're sending it to all 5 of those MPs. Hello, everyone, again. So hopefully you've all found your way to this page. Oh, I've just realized that's the wrong page I'm sharing with you, actually. Great. Okay, so we have the template email. We have the 5 emails that we are targeting. And what we are suggesting, again, is that we try to email these people as close to the same second as we can. Opening up your email browser or email program of choice, copying that in, and we're just going to be emailing them in order individually. So we're going to be beginning with Naz Shah, then moving on to Liam Byrne, then Jill German, then Andrew Parks, and then Nia Griffith. These are the 5 MPs in in Parliament right now who have the largest difference between the PIP caseload in their area and their majority. I think Naz and Liam in particular, their majority was around 1,000, and the PIP caseload in each of those areas is over 10,000. And so there is a very significant chance that they are seeing their seats as vulnerable. And if we can convince them that this is an issue that is going to lose them seats and lose them power in Parliament, then this is potentially really an area where we can be encouraging them as best as we can to reconsider their positions. So once again, people may have already sent theirs, but I'm going to suggest a countdown, and then we're just going to do this 5 times for each of those MPs. So I'm going to click send. Oh, I should probably put my name. Hazel. All right. So I'm going to click send in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Send. Hooray! Okay, that's 1. And now we're going to do the same again. So immediately, boom. We're going to go straight back. So now we're going for Liam Byrne. And we're saying, I'm calling mine importance of PIP in your area. And we're going to engage in exactly the same activity. So I'm going to give a little bit of time to make sure that people have got onto their next email of choice. And then I'm going to count down from 5, and we're going to click send again. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, send. Amazing. And now we're going to go for exactly the same again. 3 more. 2 down, 3 to go. We don't get the same thrill of knowing that this has broken a government server temporarily, but we do get the thrill of knowing that this is potentially going to have a bigger impact on how these MPs think about PIP. A lot of these people might not even be aware of just how many people in the area are claiming PIP. A lot of that kind of knowledge and information, they're only going to know how many people are writing to them and how many people are emailing them. So highlighting the sheer scale of people that this is going to affect in their local area is going to be really important. So the importance of PIP in your area. Okay, I've just been told there's a request to slow down. I'm not sure if that's the speed I'm speaking at or if that's the speed that I'm sending the emails. But we're going to pause here just to make sure that everybody has been able to catch up with us. And that's what we'll do. I'm wondering if there's anything else I can say during this time as we're waiting for people to be catching up. Even if they're not going at the same time, it matters less in this case than with the first email that we were sending. So if you are a little bit behind, or if you're sending it a little bit sooner, or you're sending it a little bit later, the impact is still very much that it is a large volume of people who are engaging in this action together. But yeah, I'm going to pause a little longer before suggesting that we send this email. I am a computer-born person. I was born with copy and paste shortcuts being part of my head and part of my vocabulary. Yeah. Thank you all so much for being here, and thank you all so much for engaging in these actions with us. It means so much that people have decided to come and to engage in this with us. I don't really know who's here in terms of whether it's allies, whether it's disabled people themselves, but I do just want to say thank you so much for being here and engaging in these actions with us. All right, I'm going to now suggest we press send to send the email to Jill German. And I'm going to do another countdown again. So the countdown is going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, send. Amazing. And that's another one sent. Yeah. Mhm. I'm hearing that some emails aren't getting through. Some emails are being bounced back. I don't know if that is because we've managed to do something with the Ooh, we're getting automatic replies. I'm not getting any bounces back. I'm just getting responses. So none of these are saying that things haven't got through. It might be that people's inboxes have been flooded, or that because so many people are emailing them at once, it's triggering a spam filter. All of that is possible. If you're getting a bounce back email, that's absolutely fine, and we can just think about maybe resending those a little bit later, or that can be a personal action that you carry on throughout this. Throughout this is that maybe after another half an hour, try to resend one. After another half an hour, try to resend one. Um, uh, it's all good. All that matters is that these people eventually do get those emails. I'm aware that so it's also largely MPs are going to respond more to people within their own constituencies who are raising these issues and concerns. So we've got these 5 email addresses from a spreadsheet that does list all of the MPs in this position whose PIP caseload in their local area is more than their electoral majority. It's more than the votes they won by. So what we'll also be able to do is we'll be able to share that spreadsheet with you, and you can look for yourself about whether your MP is on that list, and maybe you can personally be emailing one of those MPs, and that might increase the likelihood of a response as well, if they're receiving that email from somebody from their local constituency. Liam Byrne, who we just messaged, is from just outside my constituency, from a neighbouring constituency. But particularly if you live in city areas, it looks like there's a lot of MPs who are looking after kind of city areas on this list. Okay, so on to the 4th, penultimate MP. So this is going to be again sent to Andrew Parks, and we're going to again say that this is called importance of PIP in your local area. This is going to Andrew, not Jill. Great. And I was talking for quite a while there, so I'm just going to do the countdown, and then we'll do one final one, and then I believe we'll take a break before our next round of speakers. So I'm going to count down now. So from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, send. Amazing. So we've got one more to go. One more to go of these kind of 5 MPs who are in the most vulnerable position in terms of their position. Last person is Nia Griffin. Hi, Nia. So after we send this email, we're going to be taking a short break. I think we're going to take around 10 minutes. And then when we're back, we're going to have another 2 speeches. We're going to hear from Rick Burgess from the Greater Manchester Coalition of Disabled People about the importance of building a broad movement and the kind of tactics and coordination that we're going to need to sustain this fight. And then my mind has temporarily forgotten who our speaker after that is. It's Yen and Megan from Sisters of Freeda, who are going to be speaking about the importance of PIP and other disability benefits as a lifeline for disabled people who are facing abuse, and the importance of keeping those benefits in place to make sure that people can leave those situations. All right. Going to say hi, Nia. Then I'm going to count down from 5, and then I'm going to press send. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, send. Amazing. That is all 5. All 5 of those MPs have now received over 100 emails from Crips around the country highlighting just how important PIP is in their local areas. I'm going to bring us back to Zoom for a moment. Hello again, everyone. So we're going to be taking a break now. We're going to be taking a break for 10 minutes. And we're all going to be coming back here at 5:10. And until then, I'm going to reintroduce you to the artworks that we were showing before this started. So you have something nice to look at until we reconvene. So we're going to have a break for 10 minutes, and we're all going to be back here at 2:05. See you then. Okay, hi everybody. So we've tried to change something that hopefully means that you can now see the captions. We'll find out if that's working in 20 seconds, because that is the delay between what's happening in our Zoom call and you seeing live. Um, I'm going to pass to Jai now, who's going to introduce our first speaker in this second portion.
Hello. Great. Oh, there's no audio.
It's fantastic to see like the energy and new people coming into it. So just like much respect. Fantastic work. So I wanted to kind of round up like a lot of what's going on.
Sorry, Rick. I'm so sorry. I had not re-enabled sound for everybody, so your introduction got cut. But the sound is now working. Jai, would it be possible to reintroduce Rick, and then we can begin the speech again? Sorry, you were saying such nice things about the community, Rick. Sorry.
Right, I'm back again. Hello, everybody. So our next speaker, hopefully this time with sound, is going to be Rick Burgess, and he's from the Greater Manchester Coalition of Disabled People, and he's going to be talking to us with all of his great experience about tactics and coordination and the importance of having broad coalitions and actions. Over to you, Rick.
Hello. Hopefully the sound is working now. Hooray! Hello, everybody. Hello, the internet. Hello, Crips Against Cuts. As I was saying, fantastic mobilisation. Absolutely super brilliant. You've done amazing work already, and you've only just started. It's wonderful to see, especially for us. As someone described me, a veteran. You know, like we're feeling deja vu here. This is like, you know, every wave of attacks on us that have come over the last couple of decades, definitely. But this is worse. This is absolutely worse. What the Labour Party is doing is worse than has ever happened before. I would certainly say, based on the latest figures from Professor Ben Geiger, who's a colleague of mine at King's College, that the actual cuts add up to around 9 billion. Because the way that they've done the impact assessments is to pretend that taking people's money away will make them take up jobs and those wages will offset the cuts. So they'll be able to sort of list the impact as lower than it really is. So it is the biggest cut to social security in the history of social security. It is a wholesale attack on the concept that the state has a responsibility towards its citizens. It is shocking, and we need to attack it and oppose it in its totality. So first of all, just, you know, a collective across the board, not to be divided and ruled, not to let them, you know, get us to talk about work. This isn't about work. This is completely about cuts. There is no sincere effort in this to increase the employment or the pay of disabled people. This is entirely Treasury-led to reduce spending. So I wanted to just cover a lot of what's going on like around this, from like our organisation and other organisations' views, and where Crips Against Cuts can become involved in existing work, and we can all coordinate together, reduce duplication of work, increase, you know, targeted focus, and be the most effective opposition to this possible. So we're a disabled people's organisation. That means we are in our case, completely staffed and run, controlled by disabled people, as opposed to a charity, which is often non-disabled people running it. We operate from the social model of disability and disability justice. And we've been going 40 years. Actually, our 40th birthday today. I'll say something quickly about that at the end. So we're now part of an organisation we helped form called the DDPO Forum England, Deaf and Disabled People's Organisations Forum of England. So that's other organisations like ours controlled by disabled people, run by disabled people. In other words, the short version we call by and for organisations. DPO Forum England has formed a task group to deal with the Green Paper, and that's meeting weekly at the moment. So that's perhaps something, Crips Against Cuts, someone who's very interested in kind of policy and the sort of the political machinations of this might be interested in coming to that and representing Crips Against Cuts. We will be producing a toolkit for other organisations and individuals to respond. So that's an analysis and summary of the consultation in real words and not government spin, suggested consultation responses, and how you can message to your MP and the media. Just quickly to say about consultation, it's hugely below standards for a consultation. There's definitely challenges to be taken there on it. The most damaging proposals, we expect those to be put into a bill which is going to be launched in May. And I think Caroline will be talking more about how you fight a bill as it goes through the Commons. So that's going to be, you know, another facet of this struggle. But for now, just wanted to cover like some things that are happening. So you've got the DPO Forum England, which are reacting to this, and that's nationally. One or two MPs are holding roundtables and lobbying meetings who are sympathetic to our cause. So John McDonnell, who's, I guess, technically an independent MP at the moment, and Steve Darling, who's a Lib Dem, they're both holding those, and we've been to those. So perhaps we could, if you're not already involved with them, connect them with them, be invited to those roundtables. Amnesty International UK, Disabled People's Human Rights Network, also involved, and almost by coincidence, Amnesty International UK have been working on a long-term project around social and cultural rights, which is launching at the end of April, and there's an event in Manchester in May, which would be really great to get people to come to. And this is just to try and get it like really quickly. Basically, the government has to obey certain human rights legislation when they bring in new laws, but they've ignored obeying social and cultural rights, and social and cultural rights cover social security. So they cover all this stuff that's happening to us. So this big piece of work is about forcing the government to actually start doing the full proper assessment of how changes to social security need to happen in respect of human rights law, because under human rights, there is a right to an adequate standard of living through social security. So adequate social security is a right. So there's another thing to think about in this fight. We're not fighting for like a bit of charity or a choice or a handout. This is our rights, our rights. People fought and died for these. We are not giving these up. So that's another great thing that's happening. And Amnesty got, you know, big reputation, big sort of media knowledge. That's really helpful. They're involved. There's a thing called the Disability Benefits Consortium, which is mostly the big kind of corporate charities with one or two DPOs sort of helping inform them of actually what disabled people want. They're involved in this, and our message to them is that they absolutely have to oppose this in its totality. No kind of letting the government divide and rule and sort of going, well, this measure's okay and that measure. It doesn't matter if like one or two measures in it are kind of okay, because the bigger surrounding attack is so overwhelming that any tiny improvement in a regulation here or there is going to be wiped out by the much bigger assault that is happening. So we just want to make sure that they're not going to, you know, start to moderate their opposition. At the moment, they've been pretty good. There's also obviously the assisted dying bill is moving through the Commons. So not dead yet, are kind of leading on that. So it's worth to, you know, be on their mailing list. Obviously, you know, we risk a future where people are so impoverished that, as we've seen in other parts of the world, assisted dying starts to expand, and they say, well, you know, you've not got social care, you're not getting any benefit payments. Would you consider dying? And that is the possible future that we could be looking at in 5 years from now. So the fact these all things are happening together, it also seems like they're attempting to overwhelm us. So it's important, again, to look at that big picture collective approach. There's also a bill passing through Parliament which has extra powers for the DWP to spy on our bank accounts, also to give DWP arrest powers and powers to search your house. So that's also being fought, and that's through a coalition formed by Big Brother Watch. So I'd also say if there's someone that's very interested in that, connect you with that, and you can be part of the coalition with Big Brother Watch that's fighting that with other organisations, us, and a load of others as well. The United Nations Special Rapporteur on the Convention on the Rights of Disabled People is in the picture, and I think they're being asked to put out a statement about this. And I should say that the UK Deaf and Disabled People's Convention on the Rights of Disabled People Monitoring Coalition, which is a bit of a long mouthful. So they help convene the meetings with John McDonnell. I think the next one is actually on Monday of this week. So it's worth maybe someone from Crips Against Cuts could come to that. That's attempting to lobby the MPs. So let me think, what have I got? Also the unions. So some of the unions still fund the Labour Party quite a lot of money. So I do think there's a pressure point there on unions to say, end your funding of Labour until this is dropped. Certainly the TUC Disabled Workers Committee are heavily involved. So if you are in a union, make sure that you get onto the mailing list of the Disabled Workers Committee, aware of what they're doing, but also put pressure on your union to stop giving money to a party that has attacked disabled people in this unspeakable way. And I sort of finally just on that is that I think the attitudes that we've seen from ministers in the media and throughout the Green Paper are disableist. You know, quite apart from like they're using like bad language and terrible stuff, but it's just disablism. And just, you know, to the word actually vulnerable. No one is vulnerable intrinsically. It's the context they're in that makes them vulnerable. So I would say disabled people are not vulnerable. We are under attack. They are attacking us instead of giving us and supporting our rights. So I think that's also important to kind of stress our dignity and our pride and our defiance and our rights. So let me think. Also, yeah, Human Rights Watch, we've been doing work with Human Rights Watch. I'll be talking to them next week. They've also got good reach into media and things like that. So again, loads of things starting to come together to oppose this. The level of outrage is huge. You know, no one's alone here. It's fantastic. We know the Labour Party is genuinely shocked by the amount of opposition and unrest within its own ranks. As to the kind of the sort of three things I think you could do right now, I think the first thing is do what you're doing. You're doing brilliant work. But that, you know, movement building, leveraging power on social media, communicating, getting your message out there, getting that human face of it out there, just do that. Get more people involved. You know, there are potentially 16 million or so disabled people in this country. A movement of even a third of that would be the biggest social movement in history of this country. Let's aim for it. Let's go for it. The second thing is unfortunately a really sort of tedious, boring thing, which is we've now had enough responses from MPs to letters to know that they're just copy and pasting standard replies. It's pretty well much not going to produce much change or impact. So we're asking that people make appointments for face-to-face meetings with their MPs. Now, that's not the most fun thing in the world. So the good advice there is to try and get a couple of friends to that meeting. That also means genuinely that it's a kind of it's more rounded discussion, because you might forget some things, your friend might forget some things, but you can remind each other, that kind of stuff. And let them see the human face. Let them see, you know, the outrage. Let them see the anger. Let them see how it's going to affect you and your loved ones. We have to leverage the human factor here against MPs who have got a lot of pressure on them from their leadership to do what they're told. You know, we know 100 MPs roughly, their entire job relies on patronage of Starmer. they'll be very difficult to shift. But if we can strip the others away, worth doing. I know it's not fun. I know it's not something to look forward to. But in the next 3-4 months, everyone can get face to face with their MP and let them know that, you know, how bad these things are going to affect you, and also how difficult that MP's life is going to be if they support this. Then please do that. That will have an effect and start to strip away the support and build the rebellion that's happening within the Labour Party. You know, we can't rely on that. We have to try and stoke it as much as possible. Third thing, of course, is the boring, horrible consultation. But the deadline of that is the end of June. They may have to extend that because they have not produced accessible versions, shockingly. Their deadline to produce them is April the 7th. If they don't, they will have to extend the larger deadline. But there will be good guides on how to fill that in that will come out over time. I would not worry about the consultation right now. You've got all of May and June. Right now, April, let's focus on street protest, demonstration, building the movement, publicity, social media, and getting MPs in front of us and letting them know exactly how we feel about this. And, you know, wider, you know, connecting these different movements, these different meetings, these lobbying groups, these pressure groups. You know, it's all happening. It's all happening very fast. I don't think I have had a day off for about 4 weeks now. But, you know, this is a really crucial moment. The next few months, if we can maximize our impact now, then we will have hopefully changed some of this, if not all of it, instead of having to fight like every single step of the way throughout the rest of this year. So I know it's a kind of a lot to ask of everybody, but there is a real opportunity to cause this government problems. I don't think it'd be wrong to be talking about, we're calling for the resignation of Rachel Reeves, for Liz Kendall, for Keir Starmer, talking about this being a one-term party now. And also, you know, by the way, there will be legal challenges forthcoming around this. That's already happening. I know there are 3 large, well-respected legal organisations who are already in talks with our organisations about bringing legal challenges. More of that will emerge. So really on every front, opposition is building and coordinating against this. So I think I wanted to give also that message of hope and defiance. They probably thought they could get away with this. They probably thought we were an easy target. I think they're about to be really surprised. And, you know, we've been through this over the years. We've lost some people. Great friend I worked with, Nick Dilworth, is no longer with us. Many others. But I just want to sort of, makes me emotional. But I think they're going to learn that they have fucked with the wrong Crips. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rick. And yeah, thank you for sharing all of that advice with us and ending on that note. But they're fucked with the wrong Crips. And we're going to prove that to them. Excellent speech. Okay. Just to say as well, so Rick's speech included a lot of information about stuff that's coming up. And we're gonna do our best to kind of share those suggested actions that came up in that in the coming days over social media on Crips Against Cuts, particularly Crips Against Cuts Remote. That is the Instagram that this group is using, and we'll be able to share it there. Thank you again, Rick. So I'm going to hand over to Charlie now, who's going to introduce our next speakers.
Thank you. So our next speaker is actually a double speaker. So we've got Yen and Megan, who are from Sisters of Freeda, talking about hidden dangers, how cutting disability benefits increases vulnerability to abuse. So I'll pass to them now.
Hi. Megan, are you there?
I am indeed. Hi everyone.
Hi everyone. My name is Yen, and this is Megan. We are here from Sisters of Freeda. Sisters of Freeda is a disabled feminist org for disabled women and genderqueer people. And I'll just let Megan introduce herself.
Yeah, so I'm Megan. I'm a disabled person based in Bristol. So I'm with Yen on the steering group of Sisters of Freeda, and then I'm also director of Bristol Disability Equality Forum. So really happy to be here. And then I'll pass back over to Yen to introduce herself personally.
My name's Yen. I am a disabled person. I'm an artist. I'm on the steering group of Sisters of Freeda. I'm also part of ESEA Sisters. Both of those groups are like sisters, not CIS-ters. And I'm also an abuse survivor. So first of all, I just wanted to start with a care warning for this section, which is really important. Feel free to mute while you see us on screen and then unmute when we leave if this would be triggering for you. So the care warning is that this speech mentions domestic, familial, institutional, and sexual abuse, as well as lived experience of abuse. Yeah, so today, while there are obviously many consequences that will be experienced as a result of these so-called welfare reforms, we want to discuss an often overlooked consequence of cutting disability benefits, the increase in domestic, partner, familial, family, and institutional abuse experienced by disabled people. It is an often overlooked part of the experience of disabled people. However, looking at the stats and hearing disabled people's stories is not an uncommon experience. The government cutting some 6.5 billion from ill and disabled people by 2029 to 30 is repeating the pattern of entrapping more disabled people in abuse, and the financial dependence it creates will make it difficult for survivors to leave. For many disabled people living with abuse in the UK, disability benefits are not just a lifeline, they are a difference between survival and the ability to escape, or the daily reality of being trapped with your abuser.
Thanks, Yen. So I'm just going to talk through some kind of key statistics that, will kind of almost set the scene for what we're talking about here today. And obviously these are, kind of, this can be felt by a lot of disabled people, but these are just on the pure looking at them, these are the stats that are involved. So in the year ending in March 2019, 1 in 20 non-disabled adults experienced domestic abuse, whereas 1 in 7 disabled adults experienced domestic abuse in the same year. Disabled women and men were more than twice as likely to have experienced domestic abuse than non-disabled people, with higher rates of abuse among women. Genderqueer and trans people experience high rates of domestic and familial abuse. In the UK, 43% of trans and non-binary respondents report abuse from family members. Those who are disabled are even more vulnerable to abuse. 93% of disabled people who have attempted to access transition-related healthcare have experienced delays, compared to 85% non-disabled people. All these stats have, something very similar in common. So whilst abuse, violence and discrimination may be occurring for, a large proportion of people, when an individual is also a disabled person, it increases the likelihood of that abuse, violence or discrimination occurring. Support-like benefits goes some way to addressing these discrepancies. I'm obviously appreciating that it doesn't go all the way, but as Yen mentioned, it can be, or access to support and access to benefits can be the difference between survival and the ability to escape for many, many disabled people.
Financial dependence increases vulnerability to abuse, so cutting benefits forces many disabled people to rely more on family members or caregivers for basic needs. This increases the power balance in relationships, making disabled people more susceptible to coercion, control, and abuse. Universal credit and its health component, sometimes in the media they call it the health top-up, sometimes it's called the new ESA, are means tested as a couple or family. So if you, example, if your abusive partner earns over the threshold, you cannot access it. However, PIP is available to all disabled people to apply for, however, very hard to get. So crucial for the chance at independence for disabled people. Then universal credit and its health component is vital for people who have escaped domestic abuse. Abusers use tactics of financial abuse, emotional manipulation, and physical neglect against disabled people, like withholding money, food, medical care, transportation, and using inaccessible housing as a form of manipulation and control. This is often an issue for disabled people because when reporting abuse, sometimes the method of abuse doesn't tick what people see as normal abuse within a relationship and can cause problems with getting across what is actually happening.
So these cuts will increase both poverty and abuse. So poverty and particularly domestic abuse are deeply interconnected, each exacerbating the effects of the other. And poverty heightens stress within households, so it leads to that increase in violence, neglect, and emotional abuse. Many disabled people, especially families on disability benefits, are already living in poverty and are not able to afford enough food and heating. Research indicates that 14% of women in poverty have faced extensive violence and abuse compared to 6% of women not in poverty. And obviously, as we mentioned earlier, when the identity of being a disabled person is also added in, the rates and the stats shoot up. So any cuts to benefits or those lifelines of support will inevitably increase both the experience of poverty and the experience of abuse.
We want to also bring in institutional and elderly abuse and neglect because this is an area that's often not spoken about within like disability rights. It is really difficult for people within institutions to participate like this. So care settings and institutions already pose risks for abuse. Disabled individuals in care homes face neglect, mistreatment, and exploitation. Financial instability and benefit cuts limit disabled people's ability to seek help or leave abusive institutions. Overcrowded and underregulated facilities are breeding grounds for neglect, mistreatment, and even physical and emotional abuse. So the NHS Digital Safeguarding Adults Collection for the year ending March 2022 reported 147,000 Section 42 inquiries. So these are formal investigations where an adult may be experiencing or at risk of abuse or neglect. And of these, 34% were concerning risks in nursing homes or residential care homes, including a substantial amount. Yeah, so this was a substantial amount of abuse within institutions. It's important to note that care home residents face barriers in accessing helplines, internet, and outside help, which leads to underreporting. And the House of Lords has acknowledged especially the underreporting of elderly abuse, particularly among those with dementia.
And then I think something that's already been touched on a number of times is by removing the lifelines to support, the barriers that are already in place will only increase to reporting and escaping abuse. So many disabled people already face so many challenges in reporting abuse due to, just off the top of my head, communication barriers, the lack of accessible services, the fear and the reality of not being believed. Reduced financial independence means fewer options for leaving abusive environments, especially if alternative housing or care is unaffordable. So there's a stat that we found, which was based on freedom of information requests to 325 local authorities. It showed that there are an estimated 20,000 people on English local authority waiting lists for a fully wheelchair accessible home. A further 104,000 people are waiting for an accessible or adaptable home. At the current rate of building, a wheelchair user joining the list today could wait up to 47 years for a new home that meets their needs. And so if you're someone who is a wheelchair user who is looking to escape a situation, obviously that doesn't leave you facing with a number of options or perceived options. Legal and social services are designed to support abuse survivors, often require financial means to access transportation, legal aid, or advocacy, resources that disability benefits help provide, but are obviously being cut and cut and cut further. Not just under these welfare reforms, but we've seen, things like legal aid be reduced over the last 14, 15 years to really, really low levels. So there are innumerable barriers already to reporting and escaping abuse, and these cuts will only exacerbate that.
So I'm about to share some lived experience, just to ground all these stats in reality, and in the everyday kind of barriers that are faced. You have to excuse me, I might need some little breaks here and there. This is the first time I've spoken about this to people other than people close to me. I am one of 4 disabled or chronically ill friends of mine who are or had been living with abuse. One escaped and are building their new life now. They asked me to read this quote for you today. Knowing I could access universal credit and PIP gave me the strength to know I could leave a toxic and abusive situation. I know for sure that if that wasn't available to me, I'd feel trapped still. One of my friends is still living with their abuser, not by choice, but because of the barriers built into the social care benefits and accessible housing system have kept them trapped. One is no longer with us, and I miss them every day. And then there is me. And I'm here today to tell you that without disability benefits, I would also not be here today. Okay, sorry, give me 1 second. I came here to the UK 5.5 years ago, and I've lived here on a spousal visa until very recently. I am now in my own safe place, which I got here through applying for the domestic abuse concessions route, and I now have my own permanent visa. This is some of my story and the barriers to safety that I faced along the way. Life as a disabled immigrant, I think, is a lot different to how people think it is. Disabled immigrants who are pre-permanent status, so that's usually 5 to 10 years, depending on the country you come from or how you came here. So for example, if you come here as a refugee, it's at least 10 years. Anyone who is permanent leave to remain, so permission to stay here permanently, we get a little card, and on the back it says NRPF, which means no resource to public funds. That means we cannot apply for benefits. We cannot apply for social care. So like if you're disabled, you can't access council social care. All of this came in 2012 under Theresa May to create a hostile environment, and it has definitely done that. If someone is here on a spousal visa living with abuse, The terms of their visa don't change. Legally, they still are not allowed to live separately from their partner. I lived under those conditions for, quite a few years. My support network is back home in Australia, over the other side of the world, and I am not well enough to travel. Disabled abuse often looks really different and can fall into the grey area when you're trying to report it. The abusers, for example, can keep you trapped in inaccessible housing, keep your mobility aids out of reach, neglect you, and create isolation. The first home I lived in here in the UK, as I became more disabled, I was trapped upstairs. The kitchen was downstairs. There were bathrooms upstairs, but I couldn't use them myself. One time I called a neighbor to come over. I was shaking with shame. I explained to this neighbor that I had fleas. My dog had fleas. My bed had fleas. I had not bathed in 6 weeks and my bedding was filthy. I called the council many times and asked for a social worker. Every time they told me that's not how it works. You have to be referred by services. I explained I have no services. I need a social worker to access services. Thus, this meant my first attempt to leave in 2021 was failed. In the second home I lived in, I was trapped inside by heavy fire doors and bedbound after catching COVID from my partner. But I finally had access to social care as mental health referred me to a social worker who used human rights law to argue my case. When things escalated and I had to call the police, my social worker and I applied to get me off my spousal visa and onto my own so that I could then ask for the support of benefits and council housing. We looked at temporary housing because this process takes months and months, but turns out in the whole north of the UK, there are only 2 refuges that will take pre-settled immigrants, so immigrants who don't have permission to stay long term, and obviously they're full. It also turned out that there were 0 refuges that could take wheelchair user. This is not just a problem in the north. I have called all over London for a friend previously in a similar situation, to be told by the really big gender violence organizations that, well, disability is a really big gap in our skill set and knowledge. So like, if you find anyone, let us know who we should refer disabled people to. When I spoke to actual staff on the ground in refuges, they said to me, frankly, no one will take a wheelchair user. It's not just wheelchair users. There's a lack of accessible refuges and safe spaces for immunocompromised, bedbound, people with mental health conditions, and those needing care. While waiting for my visa those months, I survived on donations and support from mostly faraway friends in a group chat I called Escape Squad, and fundraising championed by my online disabled friends. I finally got my visa and was able to access basic universal credit and then rehoused. It wasn't smooth sailing from there. I was rehoused into a place that for the last year was a drug den, and it was left in quite a state. I had only like the bare concrete, which was crumbling in places. There was water leaking into the walls. At that point, I only had access to basic universal credit, so I couldn't afford enough heating. The health component top up or new ESA is actually quite hard to get. There's a 28-page form, and work capability assessment for people who can't work in order to get it. So I went through the coldest of the winter months, where inside the house was 7 degrees and below. I now have flooring and warmth, and I'm hoping to get PIP. If I get PIP, I will be able to stop rationing my non-NHS medications, which means I'll have less seizures. I'll be able to stop halving my food shop and afford all my very basic living costs and bills. My story is not an isolated one. It is in no way exceptional. I'm 1 in 7 disabled adults. The only thing exceptional about this is that I made it out. I lucked out with a social worker who has and understands chronic illness and disability themselves, and people who fought for and with me. Disability benefits saves lives, cuts kill us.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you for sharing it. And I've been watching the live chat, and everyone is just sending absolute love and solidarity to you.
Oh, thank you.
So just to tie up and just bring together so much of what Yen has talked about and what we've covered, cutting disability benefits doesn't just harm individuals financially, it creates dangerous conditions where abuse becomes more frequent and harder to escape. Cutting disability benefits is not just a financial issue, it's a social and human rights issue. Disabled people deserve financial security, independence, and safety. We should not be, once again, paying the price for bad economic decisions, especially as the DWP's own figures show how fraud in PIP is very low. Society must protect and support disabled people, rather than pushing them into dangerous situations. This is a political choice, and it is one that can be undone. To reduce the high rates of abuse against disabled people, protecting and expanding disability benefits is a human rights necessity. No one should have to no one should have to choose between their safety and their survival. Thank you.
I just had a look at everyone's comments on YouTube, and thank you so much. I'm sending you all love too. Don't give up. We're all fighting this together, and also, like, let's take care of ourselves and each other too, because this is hard right now. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yen. Thank you very much, Megan, for a really important talk, and too often neglected in this conversation. It feels like a good time for a break and a good time for a pause. So what I'm going to suggest we do, so the next collective action that we were going to be doing is going to be uploading images of shoes, wheelchairs, and mobility aids to a shared Google Doc. And then behind the scenes, we're going to turn that into a montage that can be shared online to remind people of all of the disabled folks who aren't able to be protesting in the streets right now, and that we are still there, inspired by the Millions Missing campaign by Emmy and folks with chronic fatigue syndrome. So we're going to share the link to that Google Drive folder in the live chat, but we're going to kind of take a break from streaming. I think for a slightly longer amount of time, at least 15 minutes, so until at least 3:05, just to kind of, it feels important that we have some time after those last two very emotional speeches, and then when we come back, we'll be able to carry on with the speech programs. So for now, for this next 15 minutes, maybe a little longer, we're going to be sharing the Google Drive folder for you to be adding your photos of shoes, wheelchairs and mobility aids that are going to get turned into a piece of collaborative art together. We're going to pause the Zoom live stream and we're going to go back to sharing artwork that has been made by members of our community. Yeah, and we'll see you again in around 15 minutes, so around 3:05, maybe a little later. Thank you, and we'll see you then. Yeah. Okay, thank you everyone for going on that break, and thank you all so much for submitting your artworks to us. So I'm gonna briefly share my screen so that everybody can see the artworks that have been uploaded. While I'm doing that, the captions aren't going to be available, so I'm just going to speak a little bit more and then cut to that. So we've had a lot of submissions, a lot of photos, which has been wonderful. I know that some people, I think particularly people who are on mobile, have struggled to find a way to send their photos to that Google Drive. So people are being encouraged to send it to our email address, which is cripsagainstcutsmidlands@gmail.com. Originally, this protest began as the online version of the Midlands protest, which is why that is the email address that we're associated with. So yes, so we're going to be encouraging people to send there, and hopefully by the end of this protest, we're going to have that montage available, and we'll be able to start posting that using the hashtag cripsagainstcuts and using the hashtag welfare not warfare. And if people are unaware, hashtag welfare not warfare was the hashtag that was being used on Wednesday for the National Day of Action in opposition to the Spring Statement. It was trending for a number of hours on Twitter. And if we can get it again kind of trending or being a large hashtag today, that will again just be another great thing that we've been able to achieve in this time together. So I'm going to swap my view now briefly so we can all see the shoes together. And then I'm going to hand over to Kaz, who's going to be introducing our next speaker. Yeah. Initially, let's go here. So these are just a huge number of photos that we've been sent of shoes and wheelchairs, and I think we've got many more coming through on email as well. Yay! So yeah, so we've got a lot there. I'm just going to quickly see if it can tell me how many photos we've got by doing this. 55, awesome. That's going to make a great montage. And if we can get more as well. Oh, people are still going. It's still getting uploaded. So yeah, so if people are, it's still going. This is great. 57 now. So yeah, so we're going to have some that are sent to us over email as well. And by the end of the protest, we're hopefully going to be able to create a photo montage of all of these, and we'll be able to share it online. Wonderful. Okay. So I'm now going to hand over to Kaz, who's going to introduce our next speaker.
Hi, everyone. So our next speaker is Rachel Charlton-Dailey. She's an award-winning disabled journalist, activist, and author. Columnist at The Canary, she has previously reported for the BBC, Unwritten, The Big Issue, Metro, The Guardian, and The Daily Mirror. When Rachel isn't writing, they can be found walking their sausage dog, Rusty. Their new book, Ramping Up Rights, An Unfinished History of British Disability Activism, is out on 3rd of July, published by Hearst and available in all bookshops. And a link will be shared in the YouTube comments for you to find more information on the book. Here's over to Rachel.
Hello. I have suddenly gone really nervous and lost everything what I was going to say. But thank you so much, everybody, for being here today and for asking me to speak. I feel a little bit silly that I'm going to bitch about the media for the next 5 minutes after everybody has spoken so powerfully, especially the last few people. But here I am. Also, just to warn you, Kaz mentioned my sausage dog. He has typically just woken up as I started speaking, so we might get an introduction. we might get an interruption at some point, but let's go with it. And I'm going to be reading off the screen just in case it looks like I'm focusing really hard. Labour launched blitz on sickness benefits to get work-shy Brits back to work. Labour's half measures will never free the workers from the shaggers. UK launches crackdown on drivers using fake disability claims to pay for cars. The 3.5 billion year benefits bill for anxiety and ADHD. And I'm going to take a big breath before I say this last one because it's all one sentence, even though it's a headline. Britain is becoming a nation of dishonest scroungers who openly steal from supermarkets and defraud the benefit system, study warns. These are just a few headlines I found when I searched benefits in the news tab of Google this morning. Whilst we have a huge problem with the way the government treats disabled people, the way the media talks about us is even worse. As you can imagine, working in an industry that actively endangers the lives of my community is absolutely fucking exhausting. It's something I struggle to contend with on a daily basis and has led to a lot of sobbing and slamming my laptop closed. The way the media talks about disabled people in this country is enough to give someone so much whiplash they become disabled themselves. We're work-shy fakers, so inspirational and brave, attention-seeking, a drain on society, vulnerable and in need of help, and disgusting liars taking you all for a ride, all in one go. At any given moment, and particularly in this moment in time, where people who can't survive, whilst also lying and hoodwinking poor, honest, hard-working taxpayers. We're people that we must help, and also we're disposable. We're both, won't somebody think of the poor disabled? And if they're going to die, they better do it and decrease the surplus population, to quote Charles Dickens. You can click on any media outlet in the country and find this incredible contrast, because the media just doesn't see us as people. They see us as a controversial topic of debate that they know they can wring every single click out of by both turning the public against us and making them pity us at the same time. The most insidious way, however, that the media are using disabled people for clicks at the minute is by harnessing our fears. So many of us are terrified that we will lose our benefits, and the media are using that for their own literal gain. National and local news, and I use that term really loosely, conglomerate Reach plc are especially bad for this. If you Google the phrase DWP PIP and click news, I can almost guarantee that your results will be full of the likes of the Mirror, Express, Cambridge Live, and of course Birmingham Live. I say of course there because Birmingham Live is especially vile. It regularly posts around 50 stories every single day using the term DWP, all of which are varying levels of misinformation and disinformation, designed to make them money from people's hatred of disabled people, and then at the same time harnessing our fears. It's absolutely not a coincidence that the media narrative around disabled people all being fakers ramps up every time there are due to be more cuts announced, and it's not a new thing. Because sadly, the government knows that the one way to get the public on their side is through the media. Many are shocked that these current attacks are happening under a Labour government, but it was Tony Blair's administration that realised that, to quote landmark research, entrenching disability paper, without a discourse vilifying sick and disabled claimants, it was difficult in 1997 for the government to construct a convincing story to justify large-scale cuts in social security. Many think Labour are singing from the Tories' hymn sheet, but the grim reality is that they wrote the fucking book on how to use the press to make the public hate us. There is, however, a way that you can fight the ableist media narratives. Whilst making a noise online works, we also need to take this noise to the media. It can be a huge mental load, but if you're able, I implore you to report media ableism when you see it. Whilst IPSO, the independent regulator, is essentially there to protect the newspaper owners and not the people, it still tells them that we will not take it when you do report media bullshit. I was going to say ableism, and then I realised I'd written the word bullshit, and I don't pass up an opportunity to swear. Call it out online and encourage your followers to complain too. Tag editors until they have no choice but to change the headlines. Bother them to the point where they don't even fucking dare to be ableist shites, because they know that you'll be down their necks if they do. But most importantly, stop giving them your clicks. I know it's hard when we're all so scared and we want more information, but these newspapers don't serve us. Don't give them your clicks. Hit them where they actually care about, in their wallets. Stop going on these websites for any source of information to do with the DWP, because you're not going to find it. Seek out good quality media instead, such as The Canary, Open Democracy, the Media Storm podcast at Disability News Service. Follow the work of disabled journalists and share their insights instead of the outrage big dickheads who paid Daddy Elon £9 a month. I've forgotten I'd written that bit. The reason the media and government thinks they can continue to turn the public against us is because they think that we won't put up a fight, but they're going to find out just how much of a fight we have in us. Thank you.
Hi, Becca. Thank you, Rachel, very much for that talk. Really important right now, while the media is putting all of this pressure on us, to be thinking about, ways that we can resist and ways that we can divest from what they're doing. If Jai is here, I'm going to hand over to Jai now to introduce our final official speaker before our closing actions and some more different artwork from our community. We've had a number of recorded speeches and poetry submitted as well that we're really keen to share. For now, here's Jai introducing our final speaker.
Yes, so our last speaker today is Caroline Richardson. She's from Spartacus Network, who were instrumental in the first round of 2012 cuts. So again, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what she has to say with all of her experience on all of this. And her speech is entitled "The Policy Roadmap and Moments of Resistance." So over to you, Caroline.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid this is the dry and boring bit. You've had all the rational arguments, the emotive arguments, and these are the two basic things that you need to be doing going forward. You need to be stripping down the green paper. You need to be fact-checking everything that's being said. You need to be doing consultations, signing petitions, and joining together in groups, reaching out, huge tentacles everywhere, get into everyone, talk to everyone and anyone you can to get them on side, to understand, because this is the basic thing, is the media and politicians themselves will try and con the public, use false narratives, and you have to be the truth tellers here. But there's also the other side of it, which is equally important, which is the storyteller, the narrative, the personal experience, and how it will impact you. So bear in mind that you may not be well suited to be a storyteller. You may not be well suited to be analytical You may be well suited to be both. I'm quite confident a lot of people present today are capable of doing both things. So when it comes to a roadmap, it's when and where do we insert ourselves? Well, we've already started. A lot of people have emailed their MP, and that happened even before the Green Paper. So that was our first point. Our second point is to email them once we understand the Green Paper. And our third point is to answer the consultation. But because the consultation process is going to probably be quite long, there's another place we can insert ourselves, which is writing reports. Now, whether those reports are analytical, our findings from, because don't get me wrong, this consultation is not a consultation. People have touched on this already. This consultation is not a good consultation. So you may find there's a lot you want to say, or a lot you want to question, a lot you want to be analytical about that isn't going to be covered in the consultation. You can still write a report, you as an individual, with friends, as a group, a smaller group, a larger group. You can write that report. Now, where do we insert all our information? If we can, we should try and aim for a week where we put stuff in to MPs, also to councillors, because the impact of these cuts goes to councils, to council care, social care. So we need to have an awareness of not just who our MP is, also have an awareness of who our MP was, who the local peers are, the members of the House of Lords, who our councillors are at every level, and try and get relationships with those people and copy them in. Make sure more people know when you are putting the facts out there, whether it's your personal story or whether it's demolishing the narrative of the Green Paper, whether it's telling people the true facts of the OBR, then you have to be doing these exercises repeatedly. They may seem very similar. You will end up with lots and lots of information, data, things that you need to share. The things we need to do together is to ensure and empower everybody to have the tools to write to their MP, to write to their councillors, to have the facts, to have the email addresses, to have the Twitter handles, to have the Facebook pages where all of these people can be accessed. The process is going to be a bit of a marathon. It is never a sprint. It starts with a Green Paper, and a Green Paper is usually ideas of a new policy. It isn't the policy itself, it's the ideas of the policy. So if we challenge hard on a Green Paper and we say your ideas are shit, quite frankly, or your ideas are wrong, or your ideas are misrepresenting the truth, your ideas will have terrible outcomes, then we do it around the Green Paper. We highlight that this consultation isn't good. We can highlight it to the consultation committee. Rick's already said how bad this consultation is, and how people are already challenging it. And we need to share that information, get behind the people who are challenging it, and submit our evidence of why we think these things are wrong. Then actually moves through a variety of stages within Parliament after the Green Paper. So the process is, it has a first reading, it has a second reading, it has a committee stage. We would like as much evidence and pushback as possible to have arrived before the committee stage. There's then a reporting stage where they will look at consultations and they will look at reports and they will have to actually answer some of the pushbacks that they've received. They then come to some conclusions and it goes to a third reading. At that point, it will go to the House of Lords. And that's if it still stands and it hasn't been thrown out to be restarted again, which is a possibility. But then it goes to the House of Lords and it does exactly the same process in the House of Lords. It has a first reading and a second reading and a committee stage, a reporting stage, a third reading. And then it goes to consideration of amendments, both in the Lords and in the House of Commons. And that is if the bill is passed, but it's passed with the amendments that need to be made, and the amendments, again, go to committees, and they're considered before the final act. So you're seeing how long and drawn out this process actually is. And they are only at the green paper stage. They're at the ideas stage. They've not really thought this out very well. You can tell because the impact statement took them by surprise and they had to find more savings to reach their fantasy fiscal wish list. So don't think of this as a sprint. This is definitely a marathon. However, you still have to run the whole marathon. That's the downside of it. I'm not giving you like, oh, you've loads of time. No, I'm afraid what we're going to have to do is work very hard, constantly, together, empowering each other, giving each other the tools. We don't need 1,000 people looking up everybody's MP's email address when we could have 1,000 people who will just give us their MP's email address and that'll be it. It can be made easy, it can be made difficult. In Spartacus, we're a very small group, so sometimes we have difficulty in finding out all that critical stuff. We need to have solidarity of supporting each other when each group is putting forward a report, and we must make the hashtag viral. It doesn't matter if it's Spartacus report or if it's from the Manchester group or DPAC or anybody else. It doesn't matter which group it is, and there are so many groups, that we need to be working so collectively, because alone we whisper, we really do, but together we shout. And now is the time for solidarity, for all of us to put our differences aside. And God knows I'm as bad as everybody else for having differences with other groups, but we only ever do that in the downtime. We don't do that when we're in a point of crisis, as we are now, that we work collectively. There are a lot of stages before this bill becomes an act, and we have to be ready to challenge them at every single stage. It will be repetitious, it will be boring, it will be hard work, but we're doing it together. And because there are so many of us, it will be perhaps not an enjoyable experience, but it'll certainly lighten the load. Thanks for your time, everyone, and I'm sorry I'm the boring bugger at the end.
There's nothing boring about what you've shared at all, Caroline. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk us through the green paper to actual policy roadmap. I think I just wanted to highlight and reiterate as well that, like with Ricks, there's a lot of kind of technical information in what Caroline's discussed about the processes that are involved in creating legislation. And we're going to be trying with Crips Against Cuts remote. We're going to try to be producing some kind of like infographics and some things that help visualize that timeline. But just to kind of say and highlight that, I think when Caroline's talk was planned yesterday, I was thinking about right now we're in kind of a battle of principle, and over the course of this becoming closer to legislation, it's going to become a battle of fine print almost. Both of those battles need to happen simultaneously, but right now we're in kind of like outrage phase. We're in kind of trying to get stuff thrown out, and we hope we win at this stage as well. But as things get further along, it's going to become, a case of trying to really get into the fine print of what's in the green paper, really looking at the specific statements they're looking at and looking at the very specific changes that they're proposing making to the change to capability assessments, and really trying to find as much evidence as we can of how that will actually affect people. And that report writing mechanism that Spartacus has been doing since 2012, since the kind of introduction of universal credit and the changing of DLA, is a really important and a really valuable tool for us fighting against what's happened. So yeah, thank you to both of our most recent speakers. So we're going to be closing out today with our final online action together, which is going to be our march. We're going to be marching through the busiest parts of the internet in the same way that a physical march would be moving through the busiest streets of a town or city. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be getting back our ASCII art banners from earlier, or selecting new ones. If you feel compelled, if you feel like the message has changed that you want to be sharing, feel free to revisit that link and create new virtual posters. And then what we're going to do is that we're all collectively going to march through the 3 most viewed videos in the UK from the last 24 hours. And we're going to be commenting, kind of saying, this is us, this is why we're here. I've got a comment template that I'm going to share with you that is kind of encouraging people to engage a little bit more with why we're there and what we're there to do. Because I think it's important people understand why we are suddenly in their spaces, and understand that we're going to be there for 5 minutes at a time. And we're going to be, just kind of moving through those videos. And then the last thing that we're going to be doing is we are going to be leaving Google reviews at some of the most visited attractions in the UK. These are sites that are Googled almost constantly. And these are sites where people might be looking at those reviews. And we hope for some of the days and weeks to come that the reviews that they see are going to be ones that talk about Crips Against Cuts. And hopefully we're going to attract more eyes that aren't already part of our movement through these next 2 highly visible actions that we're going to be doing together. So once again, I'm going to kind of share my screen, and I'm going to change the view to initially. I'm going to be sharing. I haven't got the comment template in front of me. I do. So we've got the Crips Against protest. So the comment template is down here. So this might be something that you want to use, or you can use your own comment template. So this one says, this is a virtual protest by Crips Against Cuts. We are protesting Labour's proposed changes to disability benefits. Many disabled people cannot protest in the streets, so we're protesting on the busiest parts of the internet today. We'll be here for 5 minutes, and then we'll be gone. Then we share our ASCII protest sign, and then we share these links. To oppose the cuts, visit linktr.ee/cripsagainstcuts and respond to the UK's consultation by 30th of June. I think there's a very good chance that those links won't work when we're in the comments, but the ASCII protest sign will, and everything else should. And we're going to be going through these 3 videos, which are the most viewed in the last 24 hours. And we've looked at them, and they look like they're kind of hospitable and warm places that might be receptive to what we're doing here. So one is a music video by Linkin Park. One is debates between Billie Eilish and Quinlan Blackwell. And one is a highlights video of Arsenal FC and Real Madrid FC. So yeah, I'm going to be copying this and encouraging you guys to do the same as well. 16,000 comments, and this is a 2-day-old video. So there are a lot of people coming through here, and a lot of people who are potentially going to be seeing what we're saying. Then I'm going to take my ASCII sign and hope that that doesn't take up too much space. Might do. So this is what people are going to see. This is a virtual protest by Crips against cuts. We're protesting Labour's proposed changes to disability benefits. Many disabled people cannot protest in the streets, so we're protesting on the busiest parts of the internet today. We'll be here for 5 minutes, and then we'll be gone. Then our symbol, and then to oppose the cuts, visit these links and fill in the UK's consultation. Once we've done this, it's going to be important that we like each of the comments as well, because liking comments is one of the major ways that YouTube flags which comments are the most popular in any given moment. One is recency, and the other is where are the likes being seen. So if you're seeing any of these comments popping up, like them. We're going to be here for 5 minutes posting this. We don't need to spam it. Once each should be enough, but we can try posting it a couple times if we need to. I'm going to post mine again at the end of a countdown. Somebody asking in the live chat, where's the comment template? So the comment template is in the description of the live stream. So it's in the description of the live stream that you're currently watching. And I can probably also find a way of putting that in the comments, actually. Just now. Can I do that? Yes. Okay, I can't do that with the ASCII. It's unfortunate. Okay, so there's a limit on the size of a comment. Or at least on the size of a live chat. I feel like a comment can be larger than that. But yeah, it's in the description. Okay. So I'm going to try posting this at the count of 3. It might say it needs to be shorter, in which case we might need to lose the ASCII signs. But I'm going to count down from 5 probably, and then I'm going to click comment. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's a comment. So that's a live comment. Terrific. So we're going to stay here. I'm going to keep the view on this. And hopefully as other people's comments come through, those will also come up here as well. I believe comments are live refreshing, but if they're not, I might need to refresh the page. But that's the format. So we're copying what's in the description. Some people's comments aren't thank you. Somebody who shared a template video. Sorry, I'm just looking at the comments and making sure that people have been able to follow along. Okay, Eloise, I'm going to try to explain kind of more slowly. So we're posting comments on the most popular YouTube videos from the last 24 hours. We've got a comment template that you can follow, or you can choose not to follow. It's totally fine to just go to those videos and write Crips against cuts, or no to austerity, or whatever it is that you'd like to say. If you want to use this template, it's in the description of the video that you're looking at them. Thank you as well. Somebody has just shared. There's a way to see the most recent, newest first. There we go. Look at that. Yeah, people have been sharing. This is great. Okay. So on the video, if you, at the top where it says comments, you can click sort by newest first. People are way ahead of me. People have already been liking. Perfect. Perfect. This is amazing. Lovely, lovely. I'm going to try refreshing and seeing if there's more comments here as well. Newest first. We've got more coming in. Oh no, we don't. We've just got a Russian bot. But yeah, if people want to share more in there, that'd be great. And then we're going to move on to the next video. We'll leave it for a little longer as well, before we move on to the next one. Yeah, somebody's saying most will have to send the comments after watching this video. That is a good point. So if you're watching on a desktop, and you're trying to find the video to be protesting, so that's also it's in both the guide, it's referenced in there, and it's also at the bottom here. These are the 3 videos that we are targeting. But if you right click, you'll have an option to open link in new tab. And if you do that, it won't take you away from the protest feed. If you're doing that on mobile, I believe it will take you away, which will be difficult. Some people are asking, what are we posting on? So we're posting on these 3 videos. So the links, again, for this are both in the description, and they are in the guide that is also in the description and has been shared in the live chat previously. And Julia Robbins has also shared earlier on, one of our moderators has shared a link to the video. So if you scroll up, you should be able to find it. And there again as well. Thank you. So that's the first video that we're commenting on. Let's see if we've got any more comments in. Yeah, plenty. Amazing. Thanks, everyone. You can comment multiple times as well, so I've just done that as well. And the plan is to spend 5 minutes on each video so that we're not taking up too much of people's time and space, just like when we're doing protests that are on marches. We're disrupting traffic for 5 minutes at a time. It's the plan. I love these really oddly botty comments that are obviously left by bots where it's kind of like, this was super helpful, thanks, on like a music video. So we're also fighting against bots in here. But our comments are getting a lot more likes and picking up a lot more traction because of that. So we're going to be here for another couple of minutes, and then we're going to move to our second video. The link for that will be shared in the live chat. But next we're going to Billie Eilish's debates. So we're going to be moving over to this video, Billie Eilish and Quinlan Blackwell, and we're going to be posting there. So each time you click sort by newest first as well, this is going to refresh. As well as posting, it's important that we're liking each other's comments as well, because that's also going to mean that more of our comments are going to rise above the level of other people's, and they're going to be seen by more people when they check this video without just selecting newest first, is the plan. This is great. Yeah, we've got several comments with over 50 likes, which is amazing for being so fast. This gives us really, really good odds that this is going to be picked up. Like none of these other comments that have been made recently have got the same number of likes as what we're doing. This is great. This is really, really good. Amazing. So again, the link to the second video, I can see some people are asking about it already. Nice, somebody's ahead and has just bounced between all 3 videos, which is amazing. It's great. It's great to have a reception, a landing zone for the rest of us. That's great. Tax the rich, not the Crips. This is amazing. Amazing. Some people watching are going to be confused by this, and some people are going to get it and they're going to see it and they're going to read more and they're going to find out more about what's happening. Just like with a in-person one as well. Amazing. Okay. All right. Amazing. All right. I think we're going to call it there. I'm just going to encourage people once more to do a refresh and to like as many of these videos as you can, as many of these comments as you can that are clearly part of our protest. And then we're going to move over to the second video and we're going to spend 5 minutes here. So this is Billie Eilish and Quinlan Blackwell. I haven't watched this, but yeah, amazing. Yeah, people are already here. People are already here. Like all of the ones that have already been made. This is perfect. Yeah, people are already here. This is great. I'm so far behind some of you guys. Okay, I'd better join in. Realizing that I've been doing this on my personal account, I'm not Crips Against Cuts one, which is fine. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, people are already here. People are already here. This is great. It's great, guys. All right. So especially on the second video now, if people haven't been already, we'll be here for a few minutes. If you are ahead, if you're just racing ahead and you're ready to be commenting in more places, keep going. What we're going to be doing after these 3 videos is we're going to be leaving Google reviews. Going to be leaving Google reviews on prominent places. So the Palace of Westminster. So we're going to be protesting right outside Westminster. We're going to be, that's Westminster again. We're going to be leaving Google reviews for the British Museum. A large number of reviews on that site already, and a large number of people who visit it every single day. Yeah. Somebody's asking if it's better to be replying rather than posting individual comments, which is great. I think it's best to do an individual comment, but also if we reply to each other's, that might also be helping with increasing things. So as well as liking each other's, we can also be commenting. We can also be replying to people's comments, and we can be saying things like solidarity. And that should also serve to increase the visibility of the comments that we're doing. That's a really great shout out. Prioritize the commenting, prioritize the liking, and then if you're well ahead and you're kind of like raring to do more, feel free to reply to people's comments saying solidarity, things like that. Realizing I'm still in parks, which I'm not meant to be actually. I'll close that video now. That's the first video. Great. So yeah, we're going to be here for 5 minutes. It's the plan. Newest first. People already posted since I just posted a second ago. This is amazing. It's really amazing work, guys. Ooh, I love this. Very nice font. Yeah, if you want to go back through, if you want to go back through and get new fonts, and new styles of reply that we can be doing. Amazing, people are doing the replying as well. Then that's great. I think it might be possible to, how do we find the Google review pages? So that's where we're going to be going next. So I'll be able to explain that in a second. But essentially you just type the place into Google, and one of the options that comes up at the top, you'll have like images, etc., and you'll also have reviews. Somebody saying they can't see any comments, wondering if they're being blocked on some servers. I don't know. It might be. So if you click sort by and you want to sort newest first rather than top comments. So because our comments are very new, they're likely not rising to the level of appearing on top comments yet. These have got kind of like 19K, 1K, etc. They're kind of too new. If you sort by newest first, that's what all of our comments are going to be. And we're going to do our very best to get some of these. Crips collab, Billy. This is great. And even if we only catch a few passers-by, these are the internet streets. This is where we're going to be seeing. Amazing. Do as much liking as we can. If we can get some of these comments up to over 100 likes, that's when they're going to start showing up on the top comments pages as well. Even if these are seen by nobody other than the channel administrators, they're going to go away and look up what happened here. Why was there this sudden huge surge in comments and likes and activity going on? This is great, guys. All right. So I think we're going to suggest moving on to the third video now. So the third video is, and I'm so glad that this was like in the top 3 viewed videos on YouTube in the UK in the last 24 hours. Is the highlights from the UEFA Women's Championship league between Arsenal FC and Real Madrid FC. I don't think any of the men's games are in the top 10 moment, which is amazing. So I'm imagining there's people already here. Again, this video will be shared. Ooh, somebody's saying check the comments. All right. All right. Are we in there? Are we in there on a couple of them? Don't immediately start playing Linkin Park, please. That will hurt everyone's ears. So by top comments. So now we're showing up in top comments as well, which is exactly what we want. So this is the default view for anybody who's joining this way. So we're no longer just showing up under newest first. We're already old news on newest first. Already old news. But where we are is on the top comments. So this is what everybody who looks at this video is currently seeing. This is what everybody is seeing right now. So we've got loads of comments that are up there right now, which is amazing. It looks like we're not there with Billy's yet, but that's going to happen. That's going to happen. So this is once the algorithm kind of updates, refreshes, we're going to be on the top comments here as well. So this is great. Sorry, onto the third video was what I was trying to ask people to be focusing on now. So I'm going to go newest first, and yeah, we're already here. We're already here in huge numbers, which is amazing. Thank you to everyone who's here, who's still with us 3 hours in. It's been a long protest, and I really appreciate everybody taking the time out of their day to be part of this, and to be connecting with each other and to be standing up against the proposed cuts. and against the violence that's being done to our communities. It's amazing to have you here. It's amazing to be responding with some positivity, some creativity, and some just good honest mischief, you know. I like that. Amazing. I'm not even sure this was by newest comments. It's on newest first at the moment. Okay. But soon we're going to be on the top comments for each of these videos. So this is amazing. So now for a few minutes, we're going to be focusing on this third video. This is great. Love this. From each according to his ability to each according to his needs. Love it. And we've got people replying as well, which is great. We're replying, saying whatever it is we want to be saying. That's going to be great as well. That's going to help. It's going to help our comments rise up to that top comments, and it's going to help us to stay there longer. Might do a little bit of spamming. I might just send like 4. That might get me in trouble. I don't think you should spam if you can avoid it. If you can space out your posts a little bit, I think that's more likely to be treated well by YouTube's algorithm. Is if they're a little bit more spaced out, and then they'll get treated like real comments and just spam comments. The fact that it's coming from so many people is amazing, because that's going to get through the filter as well. If there were this many comments being made by one account, like one person who was clever with a bot, we would not be getting onto the top comments. We would not be there. This is amazing. Not there on that. Welfare, not warfare. Yeah, we're all here. We're all here. Great. It's really amazing, guys. That was something falling off my desk. Amazing. Yeah, going through, liking. This is all going to help. It's all going to help the visibility of our cause. Great. I'm going to circle back and see where we're at with the comment situation. Yeah, we're still there. We're still there in the top comments on Lincoln Park's video. We're a lot of the top kind of 10 comments on there right now, which is great. Billie Eilish. What are you saying? Are we on the top comments? Yeah. Yes, we are. Amazing. So we're at top comments there as well. This video has been watched over 1.3 million times in the last 48 hours. This is globally number 10 trending. So yeah, like at least a few hundred people are going to be checking these comments. People saying lovely things. Never done group work before. Feel like a proper rebel now. Amazing. All right, I can feel that we're running out of steam slightly, so we're gonna have a couple more minutes on this video, and then we're gonna close out with a little bit of time on the Google reviews. That's also something that we can do at home. The Google reviews are easy enough to do. And it's less important that we all be doing that one together. So if you're leaving now, try and find time to do those Google reviews. Yeah. Amazing, guys. Amazing. All right. Okay. So I'm going to suggest we move on to the Google reviews now. Yeah, Arsenal fans for human rights. We take that. We take that. I can't even tell that that's 100% a member of our community. I don't recognize that username. And I really, really want to think that we have just live witnessed somebody seeing what we're doing and just going, fuck yeah. I really want to believe that's what happened. I really, really want to believe that's what's happened. Oh, there's Jules Biscuits. All right, never mind. Still. Still amazing. Still amazing. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. People are going to see that. People are going to know what it's about. and people are going to respond to it. Amazing. Everyone is doing so well. Everyone is doing well. I just saw Rick, one of our earlier speakers, posting in the comments about an important protest that's coming up soon, which I recommend any of you in the north try to get there. Yes, honor your spoons. Honor your spoons. We're coming to the end now. I might just show one example of how we're going to do the Google reviews, and then I might take us all back to the Zoom for kind of closing and restful comments. So if you Google, so we've got a list of our targets in the description. It's going to be Houses of Parliament, the British Museum, Tower Bridge, Edinburgh Castle, Tower of London, and Buckingham Palace. And if you just Google it, you're going to scroll down a little way. Oh, you're not on this one. But you're going to see over here on the right, if you're on a desktop, it might be in a different place if you're on a mobile. You can click on the one that says Google Reviews, or you can click on the section that says Reviews. And then on here, there's a summary of all the reviews, and then you're going to be able to write a review. This is for the Palace of Westminster. I'm going to suggest we do a 1-star review. Exactly, yeah. Even if we only bring another single person on board, that's someone who might bring along another person. That's progress. That's what all of this is about. We have a lovely canine here who might be making some noise so you can hear in the background. He has a process to make. A very good point. And we can share this. I'm just going to post that. I just earned 21 points for helping others. You don't know how much that helped others. Google. Amazing. So that's going to be a review that should now just be visible there permanently. Yeah, there you go. So that's the most recent review. And that's what's going to show up there. So we're going to do that on the most visited of places. I'd also like to suggest, because I'm a spiteful bitch, Liz Kendall also has several books. And this can also be done to review books. I don't know if this is as worth doing, because I don't know if it actually ends up hurting Liz, or if it ends up helping ultimately. I don't know if it helps with things trending, but I was sure. Yeah, so there'll be a way to leave reviews on Amazon and similar places, kind of highlighting. Leave 1-star reviews there if you like as well. But yeah, that's the Google review process. So you go to Google, you type in, so if I type in British Museum, for example, sometimes it will show up in the right, sometimes it takes a little while, but if you scroll down, you'll get this kind of familiar view, which is an overview of things. Click into reviews, click write a review. 1-star. I mean, this is the British Museum. They shouldn't have half of their collection anyway. It's all been taken during colonialism. Thank you for sharing the Google reviews list. Amazing. We do love to be petty and review bomb her books. Amazing. So yeah. So that's going to show up. So our reviews will also show up there. People will be able to see them. The consultation review that I'm sharing hasn't quite been shared. I'd suggest it's less important that these reviews are going to sit there for quite a while longer and be more visible to people. So this is a good place to be including actual links that we want people to be visiting. So including the consultation link is going to be a really good thing to include here as well. Because these Google reviews are going to stay here for like a while at the top. This is nowhere near as fast traffic coming through the reviews. So the stuff we do here, can we review 10 Downing Street 2? Why on earth wouldn't we do that? I don't know if it's considered a public building, so I don't know if you can leave reviews. We can try. Maybe if you do it through maps. If you go through maps, you can. So 10 Downing Street, government office, reviews. There we go. We're going to leave a 1-star review. And that's how we're going to do it. I'm going to change my review to include the consultation link properly. Amazing. There we go. So we can do it for 10 Downing Street. We can do this anywhere that you like. Yeah, be aware that copy pasting has a link to the consultation. Yeah, it's not working as well, but it works in the description of the video. So if you click that, and then when you're copying and pasting, just include that full link. YouTube in the description for some reason has shortened that link. James is asking, where are we leaving Google reviews? If you scroll up a little way, you'll see a list. So we are leaving reviews for the Houses of Parliament, or the Palace of Westminster, the British Museum, Tower Bridge, Tower of London, Edinburgh Castle, Buckingham Palace, and just recently, 10 Downing Street. Amazing. Okay. I'm going to call us back to the Zoom meeting. People who want to be leaving those Google reviews, find time to do it this afternoon, this evening. We're all going to do it together, I think, in the next bit of time. But for now, I'm going to call us back to Zoom, kind of close out what we've been doing together. I just want to say a huge thank you, really, to everyone who's been here. A huge thank you to all of our speakers. Huge thank you to everyone who's been supporting with making this happen. It's been a lot of work in about 6 days to get this to happen. Big thanks to the Crips Against Cuts remote chat. You will have seen in various places that we've been posting today a link tree to Crips Against Cuts shared WhatsApp group, which is where a lot of this organising has been happening. So if you're not part of that already, you're welcome to jump on there. You can find local groups who are organising local protests and absolutely need your support. And you can join remote Crips as well if you want to be supporting us with these types of online actions. We're going to be sharing a lot of the resources that Rick has been sharing as part of this. We're going to be sharing some infographics that talk about the roadmap that Caroline was talking about earlier, that hopefully allows us to understand where the pressure points are going to be in this process, where are the crunch moments, when's the right time to be focusing our energy on the consultation, when's the right time to be focusing on in-person protests. Yeah, I think that's all I really want to say. Just a huge thank you to everyone who's been involved. And all socials can be found in the Easy Read as well. Yes, so in the description of this video that you've been watching, the top link is a guide to this protest. It's in an Easy Read format. If you're unfamiliar with Easy Read is a format that is designed for both people with learning disabilities and people with difficulty interpreting text. That is a combination of images and plain language. And at the bottom of there are all of the relevant socials for you to be following to keep up to date with the work that we're doing at Crips Against Cuts Remote. We're going to close the Zoom now. I think what we're actually going to do is keep the live stream open for maybe another half hour, both for you guys to be celebrating together in the comments and to share some other examples of art that have come through from our community that we didn't have time to include in the main body of the protest, but we've had a number of poems, speeches and other really great things that have come through that I'd love to share with you, and we'd love to share with you. People are posting right now important information example for protests in Manchester. So yeah, we're going to stay open for another half hour, have people to find links, familiarize themselves with next steps. But this is going to be us. This is going to be it for us in the Zoom. So thank you so much for all of your time, attention, and creativity in joining this protest. It's been an honor causing mischief with you. See you next time.
The PM doesn't seem to understand the PTSD that comes with applying for PIP. proclaiming every trauma just to LIVE. If you can't WORK, then FUCK off. They'd rather us DIE than risk 0.1% of an LIE, even when said LIE is really a mistake made by the people PAID to strip us of our dignity. Why can't you see that access for you isn't the same as access for me? That the RICH get all of the tax breaks, while the REST are left to ROT away. Is WAR worth more than rights for ALL? Stop making equity the same as charity and look through the money BAG over your EYE.
Hello, good afternoon. I hope you're well. I'm Reay, and this is a poem called Contact List, about how often it takes lots of people to get the healthcare that you need. Yes, this is that for you. I have a stutter, so if there's any pauses, you can wait. And it's not technical difficulties, unless it is. Anyway, okay. Contact list. Ask the MB blooming into man. Ask the dolls, the local dykes, the rogue and resourceful butchers. Ask the person you met at the trans film screening, the soon-to-be doctor, the film maker, the rainbow gay, the drag queen, the all pro-nouner, the in by day and out by night, the corporate surrealist, the gender void. Ask your mum, who is trying like it is going out of fashion. Ask the underbelly, consult the forum, highlight the spreadsheet, study the printout, screenshot the Instagram story, reread the email thread, ask the catchment area that you are always seemingly out of. Become your own practice, secretary, HR department, and blood vial. Make a documentary, start a blog, write your comfort, support, and advice on the back of a bathroom cubicle. Transfer it to a bus stop. Stick it on all the blinking lampposts. Ask your ex, lover, and current friend, momentary stranger. Memorize hold music. Hum it in your sleep. Think about another glorious day being 80th, 32nd, and 4th in the queue. Wonder if the recording for training and monitoring practices has started to include your heartbeat or feet pacing around your kitchen. Ask your GP, show them all your findings, watch them stammer through ignorance, gaps in knowledge so big that they have been minded. You are here in broad daylight, mullings, questionings, and knowings in the palm of your hand, waiting for an answer. Watch their jaw drop, eyebrows merging with hairline as they speak who you are, but only with their eyes. Thank you very much.
I do dream of labour. Labours of love, labours of kindness, labours of compassion for myself as well as others. Voluntary labour, rewarding labour, what does good for my community, what I can do as much as I can do it comfortably, and no more or no less. I want labours of learning and of teaching to expand
I just recorded
the
a
I
very
can do.
long
I want
video.
unpaid labour, which I very much have, but I want to not need worry about how unpaid it is. For my home is my own and my needs are freely shared, not because I work, but because I am. Even if I could not labour as I dream, even if I was bedbound, even if I was physically able but needed time to recover with no impending deadline from the stress of a system that holds life ransom for increasing amounts of our diminishing wages, as we repeatedly give in to the demands of those who hoard the means, as we have no choice. Yet, I dream of creating that choice. I dream of community farms and of libraries of tools and means of production anyone can use as needed. I dream of labouring freely on projects that actually help, without any threats of poverty and thus death, if it mass produce many times what's needed for the profit of someone who could pay for a noticeable lessening in their quality of life and yet chooses not to. I do dream of labour. I do not dream of capitalism.
Number one. Number two, I just recorded a very long video, it's about 20 minutes, so in case it's too long to be played, I'm recording this just in case to say, hi, I believe in us. Please follow Black Mind UK at Black Mind UK. Number one. Number two, please donate to us. We are under-resourced and disability justice is nothing without Black disabled people, without brown disabled people, without queer disabled people, without the intersections of our beings. We need uplifting, we need resourcing, we need equity in practice. So please donate to us. And you can do so on our website, www.blackmind.co.uk. Lastly, please buy one of these amazing zines. I did a reading from this zine in the other video, but I'm not going to do one in this one, in case this the one is played, and then it's a little teaser and you can buy it and you can see the incredible work by Black artists who are mad, who have lived experience of mental health conditions, and who have been commissioned in this independently published zine to speak on mental health, well-being, justice and joy. It's really cool. I curated it, I did the front cover, I edited it. It was funded by Arts Council England, and it's brilliant. It's well worth your dollar. And what else can I say other than speak to, listen to Black disabled people? We are, they cut, we bleed. We need each other, and just wanted to be present today to remind us that disability justice was one of the key principles, is to move in a way that centres Black brown, disabled, queer, and otherwise marginalised disabled people who experience multiple forms of oppression, and we're often not able to be on the front line because of how we are impacted and how we are disabled by society. And just want to remind you lot that we're here. We're still miracles, just like you. I believe in us. We're one consciousness, and we will get through this. Big love, big hope, big dreams. I am Ezenwani Amarachi, the creator and the founder and creative director of Black Mind, and I'm sending lots of love.